All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. And listen, it is me, Danielle J. Metro, your becoming queen of real estate. And I'm here for today's and this week's Tuesday tip at 2. All right. So we're going to get into it. I wanted to do a forecast, right? I wanted to do a forecast of real estate every once in a blue. I usually do this maybe twice a year. I think I've done this once or twice. But being as though the real estate climate market is continually changing, like literally before my eyes, day to day, week to week, I was like, March is coming to a close. March and April are the early is when we get into the spring market, the housing market. Even though houses are being sold and purchased all the time, consistently all year round. Of course, this is the official kind of kickoff for buying and selling, right? The spring housing market. So, being as though we're ending the first quarter of the year, we're coming into spring housing market. We already are in the spring housing market. Let's do stop, take a pause for a real estate forecast update. Let's talk about what has happened and what could potentially be coming at the pike. And really, when I'm sharing this with you, I'm sharing this from being on the ground zero, right? I'm in the trenches. This is what I'm observing in my market. I'm a PA license, Philadelphia, Philadelphia Central, right? No, my central location of business is Philadelphia. Put it that way. I was trying to word it a different way, but it wasn't working out. So my central location where I service is Philadelphia and surrounding suburbs. And I've been noticing some things, been noticing some trends as of lately. And so I just wanted to get into it. So before I get into it, I just need you to go down here. I need you to like, I need you to share, I need you to comment. I need you to subscribe. I appreciate. I think I got. I'm always continually seeing growth in my subscription numbers. So thank you all newcomers. Hello, welcome. Thank you to all who comment. I have received a fantastic comment. Somebody was very thankful in regards to me putting out the information, updated information on the KFIT program. And so I'm excited for them. I'm excited for people who always ask questions, who have a comment, all that good stuff, because honestly, I'm here to give you information. That is why I do Tuesday Tip at 2, because I want to give you information and hopefully explain it in a way where you're able to understand, right? So let's get into it. One of the things, let's talk about it. What has happened this first quarter of the year is interest rates have gone up. Since the first of the year, we have progressively seen interest rates go up. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So what we're seeing as of lately, interest rates have gone up, continuing to go up. It has surpassed where we were pre-pandemic. Um, we are in interest rates of 5% and higher. And it's very interesting, right? Because it's like, what? We were just at, I think during the pandemic, it got as low as 1.8 something, 9 something, right? And now we are up at, 4.95%, 4.1, highest 4.2 percent. And so it's just like a complete turnaround, right? So I really wanted to go through that and what that means for you as a buyer and what that could mean for you as a seller. The interesting thing when I was reading up just on real estate in general, again, this is happening across the country as far as the housing market, was the catch 22 was people who want to sell are unable to find houses. It's so competitive out here. And I was just like, wow, it really just dawned on me like, right, there are sellers who want to sell their house, but because they have to be the buyer and try to purchase one first, they're having a hard time doing that, right? So they can't even put their house up on the market. So it's not necessarily that they don't want to sell, is that, hey, what house am I going to get into before I sell, right? And so it was just an interesting catch 22 that I realized, and was like, yeah, that's true. It's this kind of cycle, right? So there's that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, again, as interest rates are going up, you know, the window when interest rate goes up, the window for your budget continues to get small, right? I have a client right now, right? We've been first time home buyer, we've been going back and forth trying to look and all of those things. And from the onset of her getting first pre-approved, the interest rate has went from 3.8 or 9% to now about 5.25, right? And this is in a span this year. So when we're talking about first quarter, how much things have changed, this is first 3 months of the year. This interest rate has gone from there to that, right? And we continue to see competition. The good thing about interest rates going up, the good thing about it, and I mentioned the bad thing, and I'm gonna go more into detail as far as that window for your pre-approval and really go into that and explain it. But before I go there, the good thing about interest rates going up is that it starts to honestly weed out the competition, right? So those people who could compete at 200,000 um may not be able to compete at 200,000. Those people who could compete at 350 may not be able to do that, right? That budget is less money, okay? So it's a good thing. I don't it helps to kind of tip and balance the scales a bit more when interest rates go up and it's such a low inventory. So that means the competition is going to be less, right? I do feel bad for those um who are pretty much now can't afford maybe the type of house or the areas that they want to be in. So that's another con, a bad thing, right? So I feel bad for those, but it does help to even things out, right? Because your affordability changes. And let's go ahead and backtrack to that, where when the interest rate goes up, okay, your affordability goes down, right? If you're paying more, why do you ask? If you're paying more in interest, right, then that means that your debt to income ratio changes. And so when lenders are factoring your DTI, depending on the loan program that you have, some loan programs can be at 50%. Some can be at, some have to be at maybe 43%. So depending on the loan program, depending on the lender, you could only be at 50% as far as your debt to income ratio. Now, as soon as the interest rate changes and you've gone over that 50%, of course, then now you have to compensate by saying, hey, you can't you don't went over the threshold, right, because of the interest rate. So we got to drop you back down in order for you to be able to qualify for a mortgage, right? Now, it's amazing how 1%, let's just say 1%, maybe interest rate goes up 1%. It's the difference of $10,000 for your pre-approval amount. It can make the difference of $10,000 when the interest rates are climbing 1% at a time. Okay, it can make the difference of even 0.5% interest rate can make the difference of about $10,000. Okay, so depending on the math, and your lender will be able to go over that. I know lenders for me had to update my client's pre-approval, right, and be like, hey, because of the rate changes, where once you can afford this, and really given the breakdown of taxes, taxes are a factor as well, right? So when interest rate and taxes fluctuate, a lot of times you can have that wiggle room to go up. But again, because rates are climbing, you have to be mindful. You just have to be mindful. So that's really what I wanted to talk about Again, when your interest rate keeps climbing, that window for your pre-approval amount, you could have been like, hey, I was pre-approved for 350, but now it's been a few months and you could be pre-approved for really 325, right? Maybe 330, depending on how drastic that interest rate change is from the beginning. Um, that's one thing. The good thing about the interest rate climbing is that, again, it's leveling that playing field, right? As far as the competition of buyers out there, right? Because everybody has to adjust and do a bit less, a bit less for a bit less house. So that's weeding out the competition. So these are some things to consider when you're talking about what has happened the first quarter and as we're going into the spring market and as we are in, the spring market. All right, that's it. I took a long pause just to say that's it. I just wanted to give that quick update and I hope that helps you guys because listen, we have to be mindful that when you're out here buyers, you want to understand that the more if it's one thing not to have inventory, which is what is happening. It is another to be hesitant or picky at this time. It's not going to vote well for you. So I'm gonna put it that way. Okay. So adjust, make sure you have your deal breakers, adjust. Of course you want to get into something that you love, but you also want to understand what's going on in this current climate for real estate, right? And what you're facing and what you're up against. Okay. So I hope that helps. Listen, if you need to talk to me about this or anything else that pertains to real estate, go to book.djmrealtyco.com. Again, book.djmrealtyco.com. And listen, let's book a buyer consultation, a seller consultation. All right. Because, hey, sellers, we need you. If you're ready to sell, if you're ready to cash in on that investment property, you'll certainly you'll do well in this market. So whether you're a buyer or seller, I'm here to help you. Remember, there's no place like home, no place like home buying, and I'll talk to you next time on next week's Tuesday tip at 2. Bye, guys.